In September 2026, an independent acoustic engineering team tracking localized geographic frequency drops entered an unmapped timberland sector in western Oregon. Standing in a dense clearing completely hidden from aerial satellite view was an abandoned two-story wooden farmhouse built in 1974. In October of that year, the entire family of 4 living here vanished in a single afternoon, leaving behind fully set dinner tables, unwashed laundry, and car keys on the counter. But when investigators stepped inside the house 44 years ago, they didn't find signs of a struggle. They found something far more terrifying. The moment you step through the front door of this house, your ears pop violently. The ambient noise of the outside world drops to absolute 0 decibels. It is a perfect, unnatural silent vault. Inside, the sound of your own heart beating echoes in your ears like a heavy drum. Today, we break down the declassified audio files and the raw forensic data of the 1974 sonic wall isolation. No cuts, no edits. Listen closely. When the 2026 research team conducted a structural analysis of the farmhouse walls, they expected to find standard 1970s fiberglass insulation. Instead, they discovered that every single wall, floorboard, and ceiling panel was lined with 3 layers of high-density, military-grade acoustic lead sheeting. This material wasn't manufactured for civilian architecture. Forensic serial numbers recovered from the lead sheets match a classified Department of Defense metallurgy contract from 1971. But this lead wasn't installed to keep the cold out. Standard soundproofing absorbs acoustic waves, turning them into microheat. These specific sheets were engineered with a microscopic geometric pattern designed to bend and reroute sound waves entirely, trapping them within a continuous internal loop. The house wasn't built to block out the noise of the forest. It was structurally engineered to ensure that any sound generated inside these walls could never escape into the physical universe. Deep within the poured concrete basement of the farmhouse, teams recovered a heavy analog vibration recorder connected to subsurface subterranean geophones. When the magnetic tapes were digitized in an acoustic lab in October 2026, they revealed a continuous recording spanning from August to October 1974. The tape didn't capture voices. It recorded a massive, uninterrupted, low-frequency acoustic spike originating from exactly 200 feet directly beneath the house foundation. The frequency was measured at 7 Hz, well below the threshold of human hearing, but lethal to human biology. At 7 Hz, the physical organs of the human body begin to vibrate in forced resonance. For 3 solid months in 1974, the family wasn't living in silence. Their ears couldn't hear the sound, but their skulls, their lungs, and their brain tissue were vibrating continuously 24 hours a day under a relentless sonic bombardment. Among the declassified local intelligence logs unearthed in late 2026 was a highly specific atmospheric report filed by a federal survey team who sealed the site in late 1974. According to their measurements, despite having broken windows and gaps beneath the doors, the interior atmosphere pressure of the farmhouse remained consistently 4% higher than the external force pressure. In fluid dynamics, this is a physical impossibility without a mechanical air compressor running continuously. The house was structurally sealed by a wall of high-frequency sound waves acting as a physical pressurized barrier. Anyone standing inside Car 1 or the main living room was effectively trapped inside a high-pressure pneumatic envelope. The air molecules themselves are being compressed together by the intense, unseen acoustic loops vibrating through the lead line walls. When the 2026 forensic team entered the main bedroom on the 2nd floor, they noticed an unexplainable visual anomaly within the ambient environment. The decades-old dust floating in the air wasn't drifting randomly with the draft of the room. When illuminated by high-intensity forensic lights, The dust particles were seen arranged in flawless, complex concentric rings and sharp geometric matrix grids. These are known as cymatic patterns, the physical shapes that sand or dust forms when placed on a vibrating metal plate. The very air inside the farmhouse was vibrating with such precise harmonic geometry that the dust particles were physically locked into the nodes of the unseen acoustic waves. The air was thick, heavy, and structurally organized by a silent frequency that had outlived the inhabitants who first breathed it. On the floor beside an empty child's bed, investigators found a standard school notebook belonging to the family's 12-year-old daughter. The initial entries described normal farm life, but by late September 1974, the writing becomes erratic, jagged, and heavily pressed into the paper. The final 14 pages contain no dates, no journals, and no descriptions. Instead, every single line of every single page is covered in the same 4 words, written thousands of times until the lead core broke. The silence is loud. The medical files of the recovery team indicate that under prolonged exposure to a 0 decibel environment layered with a 7 Hz subsurface pulse, the human brain suffers severe auditory hallucinations. The auditory cortex begins to generate its own internal screaming sound to compensate for the lack of external input. The family didn't flee from an intruder. They were driven into a state of acute psychological hysteria by the very air inside their home. In November 2026, Deep Earth seismic scanning equipment finally provided the explanation for why this specific location was chosen for the 1974 structure. The farmhouse wasn't built on normal soil. It was positioned precisely above a unique geological anomaly, a massive, hollow, subterranean basalt cavern shaped like a perfect parabolic acoustic reflector. This natural underground chamber was collecting the micro-seismic vibrations of the Earth's tectonic plates and focusing them upward into a single, intense kinetic beam. The military-grade lead sheets in the farmhouse walls weren't put there to study a phenomenon. They were installed to build a weaponized acoustic trap. The house was designed as a biological test chamber to see how long human subjects could survive when integrated into a localized seismic lens. Following the conclusion of the 2026 subsurface analysis, federal authorities designated a 20-mile perimeter around the coordinate block as a permanent exclusion zone. The access roads have been raised, the maps have been wiped clean, and the lead line structure remains standing in the absolute silence of the Oregon woods. The frequency is still active. The air inside is still frozen in geometric patterns, and the silence is still building. Thank you for watching this full, unedited investigation. If you want more long-form documentaries that expose the raw, hidden frequencies of our world, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment with silence below, and stay out of the deep woods. Stay safe.